So my name's Natalie Denny. I am a writer and author based in Liverpool. Um, I also am director of an organisation called Skywriters, which is a social enterprise, which is all about supporting people to develop and grow through creativity, mainly creative writing. So at the moment, I'm really excited because my debut book, Keisha Jones Takes on the World, it will be published on the 3rd of August. And I've been working on that for the past maybe 2.5 years. I'm also involved in the Goddess Project. I'm one of the co-founders, and that is an organisation that supports Black women and women of colour to develop and achieve in their communities. And we use a lot of creative methods in order to do that too. Here it is. Keisha Jones Takes on the World. And it's illustrated by Shante Timothy, a fantastic illustrator, and it is with Little Tiger Books UK. So the book is about a little girl, Keisha, who's 8 years of age, and is full of passion and vigor and all those things that 8-year-old girls are full of, excitement. And she learns about her great Aunt B, who was an activist in the 60s, and she wants to be exactly like her. So the book is about her establishing her journey into activism, to be exactly like her great Aunt B, to sort of approach and to challenge injustices wherever she finds it. And she does it in a way that's quite funny, was quite comical, is quite sort of, the way little 8-year-olds think, sometimes really direct and sometimes really outlandish. So it's a book that's full of fun and full of lovely characters, such as Grandpa Joe, who's one of my personal favourites, and her auntie, who's a little bit wild. And she's a little girl that's got lots of really positive attributes, and she really wants to make a change and help others. But she does so with sometimes disastrous and funny consequences. So the book's all about supporting young people to understand how they can make a difference and understand about how activism is important to people of all ages. I followed lots of other writers and editors and agents and publishing companies and all sorts of organisations connected to writing, whether it be writing on the wall, whether it be the Windows Project, anything connected to creativity and writing, I followed so that I would be in the loop, in the know, and different types of writing as well. So many theatres in the city, if you're into script writing and things like that, make sure you cultivate your feed around that, so that sometimes if you are doom scrolling on social media, the stuff that you're looking at is actually the stuff that might illuminate an opportunity for you, or might let you know that there's something going on in this place that really help, or a new course might pop up. What I also did is I got onto some courses and got into a writing community. So with some courses you have to pay for, and people are not always in the circumstances where they can do that. But there was one called Writers HQ, where they did free online writing retreats. And what that was any day they'd have them on different times, and you join, and it'd be a webinar set up, and there'd be loads of people in the comments chatting away, talking about the word count or what they're aiming for and things like that. And you check back every couple of hours, and you'd encourage each other and support each other. And they had some free courses that you could access, and then courses that you could about maybe like how to write a plot, how to develop your character, like that. So I started actively investing in myself that way, attending any free courses that I could. And then there's organisations like Writing on the Wall that do loads of free courses for writers locally, and started doing that and getting myself involved in the community of writers, so that even if I weren't writing at that point, there was a connection to it in some way. I was never losing sight of what I was there for. And then I read a lot, and then continue to write a lot as well, because I think people sometimes forget about the reading part of it. And when I say reading, whether it would be audiobooks, or whether it would be, through physically reading, or whether it be through another format, it's about knowing the market that you're writing in. So, for example, if you're a romance writer, it's important that you read in that genre, because if you're sitting there writing this story thinking it's really original and it's already been, wrote two years ago, it's a lot of wasted time. And it's not that you can't enter, yourself into a story that's similar to the others. It's just that if it's been done before, then it is less likely to be people who might be connected to it, maybe. So you just need to be connected to the area that you're writing about, and understanding. I wouldn't say trends, because I just think trends change so quickly, and because how long it takes to get a book out, you know, what the trend is now might be something completely different in the next few years. But it's more to sort of understand other people's writing, learning tips and things like that. And yet getting a community of writers. So I talked about being on courses and stuff, and from that course, I've got a community of writers that critique each other's work, and we meet every month. And every month, a couple of us post new bits of work that we're working on, and we critique it in a really positive way. We're really supportive, we're cheerleaders for each other, but also a lot really keen eyes. So one of the girls might say, "Ooh, have you thought about this?" Or "I've noticed this," or you know, "You've put two words in the same there. You meant to have done that," and it just allows you to be a better writer and not be afraid to sort of have that critique in a really supportive environment. So for me, it was completely thinking about embracing the writer title in lots of different ways and making it more involved in my life rather than just something that I like to do every now and then. For me, I wear hearing aids and I'm deaf, um, and it's something that I've had since birth, but it hadn't been something that was picked up properly. I don't think. I think it was just something that, oh, you know, Nat's a bit. she sometimes she goes into her own little world and stuff. And what for me in terms of my journey when it comes to deafness is the time I really understood the level that I needed to support was through the pandemic, because unbeknownst to me, I'd become a master lip reader, and that was how I was communicating with people, and I didn't really understand that that's what I'd been doing. And then when the pandemic happened, everyone was wearing masks, and I couldn't communicate. I couldn't read people or their faces. I couldn't read the lips, and it was quite bewildering, and it was quite a distressing time. And it was then that I started sort of getting more support inquiries, getting referred to audiology, getting the support that I needed. Um, and for me, like sometimes people will say, you know, I'll say, yeah, I'm deaf, and they'll be like, oh, I would never have known, or they make comments like, and it's well-meaning, but it's this idea that, oh, you know, my idea of someone isn't deaf isn't someone who was doing this or is doing that or was doing the other. And I feel like there's that idea of like the medical and social model when it comes to disability, isn't there? And how a lot of people sort of adhere to the medical model without realising that really socially it isn't that us that's the issue, it's that society isn't meeting our needs. And I think when you have people, whether it's characters or whether it's authors in the publishing world that um, represent people from different communities, it helps to dispel some of them myths and some of these preconceived notions of what someone who is deaf or disabled acts and looks like and experiences the world. It breaks down a lot of stereotypes and preconceived notions. And I think that's one of the things that's really powerful with literature. And so for me, I love to see characters that are really varied and sort of, you know, maybe neurodiverse, you know, may experience the world in a way that is different to other people. I also feel it's important that, you know, kids see themselves in books, you know, and are able to make that connection and understand the, you know, I know myself as a little black girl growing up, that to see another black kid in a book was a massive big deal for me because you didn't really see it when we were younger, and how that made me feel and made me feel represented. And there's lots of research that's gone into this idea that you can't be what you can't see, and especially with young black kids. There was research a couple of years ago that showed that it was having an impact on their aspirations, because if they couldn't see people who look like them or might come from the same area as them, then it was harder to sort of visualize themselves there. And I think that's that idea can be transferable right across the board, is that we want all of our young people to feel represented, we want all of them to feel supported, we want all of them to feel that they can be the main character in any story, you know, that's out there. So I think it's really important from a character perspective, but also from an author perspective as well. because join us on our publication date, Thursday, the 3rd of August, 6 p.m. on Little Tiger Instagram Live. I'm really excited about that. And if you've got any questions, then pop in the chat and ask them.